Oh, look at him, he's a sad little bastard. He knew all along, he knew it was broke all along. He didn't want to tell the boys, didn't want to create a fuss. Yeah, let's pull this fucker apart. Right, welcome back to WrenchLife, and this is part 2 of the little bastard rebuild for Dubshed. Today we're going to look at the engine. So what you're looking at here is a 150cc electric start pit bike engine. And we're going to have take it out of the frame first, take the seat off, free the frame up so the frame can get kind of checked over and painted and stuff. And then once we get it kind of the engine freed from all that there, and we're going to take the engine apart as well and just see if there's any scope for just a little bit more, kind of just get a little bit more power out of it. So there's the engine mount without the engine in it, and if you see, the seat actually just bolts on with 2 wee bolts. So I'm just going to whop them off here now. And the reason why I put up so much of a fuss is if you look at the nut, what I've done is I've actually put a slot in the nut and then smashed it down. So it's kind of like a homemade stover nut. Kind of put a slot either side, so there's a little bit still connected here and 180 degrees around there. The ends of them are smashed down, and it creates a real tight bit of thread there, because what was happening before was the bolts were just getting vibrated off and the seat was just falling off, which was fun. Never. And there's the wee seat. It's like a wee Clark, I think it's called a TS9, Clark TS9. That's the wee seat. I don't even know if you can get these anymore, because I went trying looking for one before and I don't seem to be able to get them in this country anyway, but they're pretty widespread, kind of readily available seat. So here's a closer look at the mount. So it's all made out of what was it now? It was plasma cut flat steel. You're talking 4mm there for the base plate, and most of the rest of it's 3mm. And that kind of, it's all done flat. There is a couple of joggles, but they're all very simple bends. There's no double curvatures or anything like that. We've removed material wherever possible. This is actually the Mark II. So the first one bent a lot around here. There was a couple of features on it that were prone to, well, there were weak spots. There was a couple of weak spots in the old one. We've kind of eliminated all that there, and now it's pretty solid, but all the holes had to be added because of the extra thickness of material that we had to add to kind of strengthen it up. But it's worked out all right. This we kind of outgrow on the back. That was after market. That was a bit more after testing. We were finding that the seat was just trying to bend down and wreck itself. The seat was actually bending down at the back because it's mounted quite close to the front, so the tail of the seat was bending down and hitting the chain ring, which is what that is. That was the chain. And I probably only got about another millimeter before it started to cut through arse. In addition here, what you've got is these 2 screws. There's a nut welded to the mount itself here and here. This set screw just screws down into that. That's just a lock nut. The set screws actually as well, they have usually they have a little bit of writing on the end. I've machined that off just to help it kind of smoothly sit against the frame. And there's a cross member on the frame that these sit against. So they sit against the frame, you wind the screw out, pulls the engine mount and engine away from the back axle, and that tightens the chain. Alright, well that is kind of, that's not looking the worst. We'll give it a good clean down and see what shape it's in tomorrow morning. Right, just going to give it a bit of a clean down now with a bit of this shit and a toothbrush. Try and get the worst of it off before I split it. Right, so here's the engine kind of all cleaned up. It's sitting on its head, and this is the underside of the engine, but we've actually found something pretty fucking alarming, which is right there. That's a crack right where the starter goes on. Now, I was warned about this by a guy at Double O Racing. Like he said, they'd done a bit of work with these before, and kind of he'd give me a couple of tips to help kind of lengthen the life of it, but a couple of bad starts and basically that's what you get. So I've hopefully found another one there, and I'm gonna get it bought up, and I need to get that here quick as fuck. But now we get to do an engine rebuild, a complete total stripped down engine rebuild, which will be fucking fun.
John loves it.
Just want to go lie down and curl into a ball and cry.
Breastfeed somewhere.
So, right, okay, so it looked like it was just going to be kind of a simple enough check over the engine. Was going to drain the oil, take the covers off, have a wee look. You know, just check it for basic wear and things. Now, obviously, because we've got the crack going on, we need to change the whole left-hand side crankcasing. So, I've got to take essentially the whole engine needs to come apart now, because that's obviously the base of the engine. Heads, everything, all has to come off. So, when I'm taking a pit bike engine apart, there's so many bolts. What I tend to do is I'll name or number each bolt. So F. I'll write on the casing beside where the bolt goes, because there's so many of them. And so now, yeah. So that's kind of stage one. Trying to take it all apart here, and I have Double O Racing apparently have a couple of these casings knocking about. So I'm going to try and get a hold of one of them, but I just want to double check the sizes before I do anything too drastic. Right, so you got this kind of clutch side casing off, and one thing you have to absolutely look for every time is this little thrust washer. It sits on a little ridge just there on the kickstart shaft. Sometimes it comes out kind of stuck to the inside there of the clutch casing. Just make sure you kind of keep tabs on that. We've took the pressure springs and the outside pressure plate off the clutch, and we're greeted with that there wee bad boy. I've got a special tool for it. It goes on to a 1/2 inch drive. Might work, otherwise just take a fucking drift to it, and then yeah, we'll keep going for a bit further. Right, we've got a load of this shit apart now, and there is the fending piece. It is totally snapped off. It was just this bolt which was attached to the outer casing that was holding the whole thing in place. What you have up in there, and it's difficult to see, but you have a deliberate, well, not deliberate, but it could have been avoided. It's a stress riser, so that's kind of just bad design. And then it's just kind of went at the other side as well. Really, to fix this properly, we reckon you could build like a gasket out of steel. So the gasket will come off it, kind of this shape. If you built a gasket out of steel, probably about 3 mil thick, and used that to kind of strengthen the whole assembly, you might be able to get away with it. But you would need to take the casing, the stator casing, off and machine, you know, the 3 mil off the bottom of it. But yeah, it's potentially what we may end up having to do at some stage. So that just go there. There's no other fucking reason for it. Well, I've been taking this apart. Things like the flywheel here, which has a couple of small pieces in it. It has like a one-way friction clutch, kind of roller bearing clutch thing, and it's also got magnets in it. So that wants to be kind of, it's covered in cling film to stop it getting swarf and shit attached to it, as is the stator. All the wee gears with their washers and stuff, they're all zip tied together in order to make it easier when we go to put it all back together again. Yeah, but now we're at the stage I can take this plate off, I can get access to the timing chain at the bottom end here, and we start pulling the head apart. Once you get the head apart, timing chain out, head off the top. Once you get the head and cylinder off the engine, then you're free to split these two crankcase halves. Right, you got these two bolts here, and got one of them out. It's a little countersunk thing, and like a party piece of these engines is that those two bolts are the hardest to get out. This one here just about got out, and that one there decided no. Usually what you take that out with is a kind of an impact driver like that there. Tried it with this one, didn't want to know. Tried it with the big one, fucking annihilated it. Third time's a charm. I'm gonna hit her with Walter here. Drill that fucker clean out. Obviously both of them are gonna need replaced, but we're gonna need to get a crankcase anyway, so no biggie. Now we've got the tension off the bolt, you can just screw out. I'm just using these circlip pliers because they get quite a fine end on them to reach. Right, so got this little plate off. You can see one end of the timing chain. Up here there's actually a tensioner, a wee tensioner system there. That squishes down on this kind of belt, which kind of squishes the chain, tensions it. Then at this end, cut this wee cover off. There's two bolts here. Take them two bolts out. Then take this this top end cam gear and click it back a bit, and we should then be able to push it in enough. We get the chain off, get the chain out, and then all to do to take the head and the cylinder off is these four bolts on the end. Take them off, and the whole lot should start to unravel. One. Two. Ah, cheeky bastard. Secret fucking head bolt. Cheeky bastard. Level 2 head bolt. You cheeky bastard. Right, there's the head off it. At some stage I'm gonna whip this camshaft out and just check out to find out for real actually what the crack is, what kind of cam I've got in it. It's probably got like a 6.8mm lift cam. I was kind of thinking maybe I could put a 7mm lift cam in it, but I mean if it's gonna have these problems with the starter, I might hold off until they make the mod before I try and do anything to it, but it'd be nice to know. So while I've got the head off, I'll give us a wee look over the next day or so. Also, whenever you get the head off, you can just see, well, I mean, you can take a spark plug out any time, I guess. Like, it doesn't look too bad. Kind of a biscuity colour. Seems to be running alright. Oh, fuck. It's just leaked on me. Cheeky bastard. Right, this is the kind of the final stretch now. We've got all the stuff off the outside of the engine, head, cylinder, that's all removed. This is the case we want here. Take these bolts off and hopefully lift this away, and with any luck we'll be able to leave all the stuff, all the rest of the stuff kind of still attached to the right hand case. We won't need to remove it, and that'll make it a lot easier when putting it back together. I think this one likes to stay attached there. Hanging out of that one now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to zip tie all this shit in place so it can't fucking move. Put cling film around the outside of it and hide it in that bucket and not look at it again until I need to. So after all that there, I have a big box full of little bastard's engine. The next video could be putting this back together again, or it actually could be putting some of the chassis together. There's all kinds of bits sitting there ready to go. So basically we'll just take this as it comes, as we have the equipment and the materials available for it. That's what we're going to do.